Welcome to Florida Focus, a college football podcast. My name is Brandon. I'm a lifetime Seminole fan.
I am Chris, and I'm a happy Gator fan.
We are putting aside our differences as rivals to bring you the fantastic world of college football throughout the Sunshine State. And yeah, pretty interesting weekend, Chris. We have, just really quickly, UF victorious against Tennessee. Florida State falls to Louisville at home. The Knights are off. Miami wins. BYU beats South Florida. Air Force beats Florida Atlantic. And then Central Michigan edges out FIU. But a very interesting but semi-non-eventful weekend. Any initial thoughts before you dive into the Gators?
Yeah, I mean, outside of the state of Florida, it was a lot of upsets, a lot of traditional powerhouse teams falling. There's a lot of, someone brought this up, parity across college football this year.
Yeah,
Alabama isn't as good, and I say that like they're just an A instead of an A plus. It's still really good, but you're seeing some weaknesses in Alabama. Georgia's pretty dominant, but Clemson is lost twice. I mean, Ohio State's already lost. Arkansas is all of a sudden in the top 10. So just a little bit different feel for the college football overall as a whole.
Yeah.
So far.
As we're painting the picture of this season, as everyone was asking me this week, is Clemson still going to win the ACC? Yet to be seen. It's October, and you already have to question that. So, but we'll get on that a little bit later because Florida State will face them down the road. I'll defer to you, Chris, because you, as you said, happy times 3. Beating Tennessee at home. Give me your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, Florida handles Tennessee 38-14, and this is a bounce-back game from that close loss to Alabama. And a lot of people are going to say, okay, was that a fluke? Did they just get up for that game? And honestly, like the first half of this game, Florida was kind of sluggish. I mean, you're up at halftime, but you don't feel like you're up at halftime. We're up 17-14. Tennessee misses a field goal at the end of the half. It could have been tied. And it feels like, okay, you felt like the better team, but you just kind of maybe that Bama hangover or something said. But Florida came out of the half and really just shut down Tennessee on the defense and really got things going into a rhythm offensively and kind of put the game out of hand. But that first half, you're kind of like, oh, here we go again. And this is what happens a lot with Mullen teams, and this has happened so far this year. We just cannot put together a complete game, 4 quarters of good football. We're going to leave out a quarter here or a half there. We left out a quarter versus Bama. We left out a half, the second half of USF. And then this first half, I wouldn't say we played bad, but we just didn't play as well as we could. And credit to Tennessee. They gave us pretty good few punches there. But it kind of played out like I thought it would. If you go back to the podcast, I said, yeah, they're probably going to go down and score a couple touchdowns on us. But at the end of the day, we're going to win comfortably. And that's basically what happened. I wasn't too worried. I wasn't too concerned. I was just more annoyed than anything, knowing that we are a better team and knowing that we shouldn't let this team hang around for a half. But we did, but credit to Mullen and Grantham to making those adjustments, especially on the defensive side. They pitched a shutout, like I said. And Emory Jones, big story out of this is he continues to improve. I mean, college football is so interesting how fans and media and people like us react from week to week. I mean, there's people that were writing Jones off after the FAU game.
Yeah.
And then even more so after the USF game. And to be honest, I was like second-guessing Mullen. I was second-guessing Emory after the USF game. But not having Richardson as your backup, your dynamic backup quarterback in there, I think maybe once the noise, if you will, quieted down around campus because Richardson was hurt, I think it really helped Emory focus in and knowing that he's not – like the position is his, you know. I think it really helped. And just 4 games. You have 4 games. You're going to look better, hopefully. You're going to look better in Game 4 than you are in Game 1 if you are indeed improving, and that's what he's continuing to do. So credit to him for sticking it out and credit to Mullen for riding him there. Yeah. So wish we could put together a whole game, but overall, I'm pleased. I'll run down some positives, and I'll let you chime in here.
Okay.
Like I said, Jones, very efficient in the pass game. And he's now, I think he passed for over 200, and he rushed for 140. And now he's the team's leading passer and rusher. So impressive numbers here. He's putting up Tebow-like numbers, and his offense is putting up 2,000 yards so far in the first 4 games. We haven't seen that since the 2009 Florida Gator team. So we're starting to see a little bit of groove, and like we said before, this is the style that Mullen is more comfortable running on his offense. Run the game, get the quarterback running on that option, and the read option. So you're starting to see this is kind of what he's geared towards. And now the O-line is coming along too. And what an improvement this Florida O-line has made. The biggest, I don't know, maybe one of the biggest improvements in a single unit you've seen from 1 year, 3 years really, to next year. They were a consistent weak point, especially in the run game, and now they are our strength, and our identity is our O-line. So just fantastic. 283 yards on the ground. Tennessee coming into the game was only allowing 54 yards. Now, granted, their competition was a little bit different, but still, they only allowed 54, and we almost went 300 on them. And a key stat for Jones, and specifically 0 turnovers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'll repeat, 0 turnovers.
Yep.
So that is a huge improvement on him. Very efficient in the passing game. On defense, they adjusted at halftime. Outside of those 2 long touchdown passes, they pretty much kept Tennessee in front of them, especially in the second half, and really shut them down. Gave Hendon Hooker a tough time before he had to go out with an injury. And then last thing I gotta mention, that trick play that really, we were up by 3 going into the half. We got the ball back to start the second half, and we go down and we score on a trick play. Mm-hmm. Trent Whittemore, the receiver, double pass to Gamble there, and just so proud of my boy Trent getting now a receiving touchdown in the swamp, and now a passing touchdown.
How about that?
In the swamp. So good for him, and good for his family as well. But really, honestly, that was a great play call by Mullen, great timing to bust that out. And that really, after that, I think everyone just settled down. All the Gator fans gave a collective sigh, and oh, okay, we are a dominant team. We are the better team, and we didn't look back after that. So yeah. That's the positive. That's the good things we took away from this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Controlling the ball, very good. Obviously, everyone's going to notice the balance, not only on pass versus rush, but spreading the ball around to the receivers. The receivers had this is the number of catches: 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2.
Yeah,
it doesn't get more balanced than that, and so that shows me that you have a lot of guys you can trust, and that's always a very good thing. A lot of explosive plays in the running game. You have actually 4 that go for 10 plus, and so the explosiveness out of the rush attack is very good. Hard to nitpick on a defensive performance like that, right? Holding the 14, there are a couple things we'll get to, I guess, in a second, but really, like you said, a shutout in the second half, always something to be proud of there.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a great point on the receivers. It's really hard to shut down your star receiver if there isn't a star receiver. But I would like to see one step up and be the go-to guy. Mm-hmm. Say if it's 3rd and 12, who are you going to look for? Whether it's a tight end or one of the receivers. Probably at this point, Justin Shorter might be the guy because he's just a big physical player. But we don't have that one guy, the go-to guy, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But it's pretty cool because we like to, just like the running backs, we rotate in the receivers throughout the whole game. So you can't just I'm going to put my star corner on their star receiver. Well, who is a star receiver? Where is he? Is he in this rotate? We don't even know. So I like that. It gives us depth. If and when a receiver has to go down, there's not going to be much of a drop off, I don't think. But I still would like to have one guy that I can be a little bit more reliable on. I thought Copeland was going to be the guy going into. He had a great game against USF, and so far he's been up and down. So that's my only nitpick. But overall, it's pretty cool that it seems like he's not Jones is not just singling one guy out. We're not forcing it into a guy, and a lot of the guys are getting balls thrown their way.
Yeah.
As far as negatives, that's a slow start. I mentioned at the top, man, it's a slow start. Let me backtrack a bit. We went down and scored on the first drive, and then it was just kind of going through the motions a little bit. On defense, Kyer Elam, Matt is his uncle. Kyer Elam, our All-American corner, he was injured and couldn't play. And man, it showed. I was thinking going into the season, okay, Kyer, he's locked down, but if he gets hurt, who's going to step up? A couple years ago, C.J. Henderson, lockdown corner, he gets hurt a couple games, and it was I think it's the game we lost to Kentucky at home because we didn't have a guy to fill in for him, and that's kind of where we're at. We did okay, but they had two long plays. One of them was a screen where our linebacker Bernie, he kind of sniffed it out, but it was just too late and couldn't make the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Rashard Torrance, our safety, comes up, couldn't make the tackle, and it goes for like a 50-yard touchdown. And then the other long 75-yarder, Mordecai McDaniel coming in, a guy who hasn't played too much. He's coming in. He gets caught looking in the backfield and gets burned big time. And I will say this, I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing him much after that play. Credit to Grantham. That's something that we criticized him last year, was guys like Stewart and Steiner would get burnt, but you'd see them in the next series. So we didn't see him much after that, but I can't complain too much because we did adjust. We kept them in front after those plays. The first half we did have a lot of missed tackles. Their running back Evans, I think number 8, he was a hard man to tackle. I'll give him a lot of credit. And other people we were making tackles, but he seemed like we just couldn't get one guy on him to go down. So I would have liked to clean up the tackling a little bit. Had some issues with Bama as well. We did have a fumble from Jacob Copeland. I'm not too upset that he fumbled because of how it happened.
It was a really good play by the defense. I mean, it does cost the Gators points there before halftime, probably at least 3, but you're right. It's only a turnover of the game, so you can't be too mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like he was handing the ball out, not being secure with it. Three guys,
yeah.
coming at him. They just made a better play than he. Mullen did say, like, he wasn't mad either, but he made a good point. It's like, at that point of the game, with a minute left, you'd rather him just go out of bounds and stop the clock. But he's not too upset because he's fighting. It's an effort play. Kind of like a penalty. If it's an effort penalty, you're not going to be too mad about it. But that's the only one. So I'll take that. But on the flip side, no, we didn't force a turnover. I think it's like the second game in a row where we haven't forced any turnovers. And I'm gonna pull a Brandon here and use some analogies here. Good defenses are like pirate ships. Do you want to know why a good defense is like a pirate ship? A great defense, I should say.
I need to know why.
Okay. So, bad defenses are like a pirate ship that has had many holes in it, whether it's a gunshot or a huge cannon has gone through it, and it's sinking quick or already at the bottom of the ocean. That's a bad defense. That was Florida's defense last year. Okay? Good defenses, they can fix the holes, and you're floating and you're chugging along, right? Every now and then a hole will come in. We had a couple of holes in that game, but we fixed them. We patched them up, and we are floating along. But the Pirates that are real successful, Brandon, those are the ones that are causing the holes in the other ships. Okay. Those are the ones that are going out on the offense. The defense is going on the offense and causing turnovers, forcing turnovers, not waiting for other teams to make a mistake, causing them to make a mistake, make them make a mistake. We're just not doing that. We haven't done that in years, and it's very just I think that's the next step for us to be beating Alabama and beating Georgia consistently is having a playmaker or two, an elite playmaker or two on defense. I think we're that close to becoming the next step. I don't know. We're just like a step behind, and we're not. We're good. We're rowing along, but we're not causing turnovers, and that's really frustrating to see. But I can't complain too much when you only give up 14 points.
Gotcha.
But I'd like to see better. And I would like to see it be more comfortable in the second quarter. I'd like to see that so you can actually win the game against Alabama and Georgia. So that's just my nitpick on the Gators and their defense.
That's a perfect analogy, and I follow it 100%. Well done, sir.
Okay, good. I figured you'd appreciate it.
It's awesome. It's very good. The only other thing I would add is there were two pretty blatantly missed assignments, in my opinion. The most noticeable one was when Tennessee goes for it on fourth down. I mean, just a guy streaking across the middle of the field wide open, probably going to score, and he just drops it. So that was something to miss. And there was another play. They said that Hooker, the Tennessee quarterback, had a problem with this for years, that he overthrows receivers. He had another guy wide open, another part in the second half, and that would have been a deep gain as well, and he just misses him. Guy was open for like 15 yards all day.
Yeah, I think there was on a third down, too, they had a crossing route, maybe a fourth down, and their receiver was open, but he just dropped it.
Yeah.
Or tight end or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, if Tennessee is a little bit better at throwing the football, we're talking about a little different game here.
Sure. Don't think they win still, but it's...
Right.
They covered the spread, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll take it. I'm happy, because I repeat, do not like Tennessee. So I'll take it.
And Heupel hasn't changed at all. He's still coaching just like at UCF. It's kind of funny, actually. So there's that. But that was all I had. I think you covered it really well.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, here we are, Chris.
Yeah.
First time since 1974. Florida State is 0-4.
Ooh.
Not as disappointed in this loss as I really would have been, like Wake Forest or obviously Jacksonville State, because I didn't expect a win here. But overall, you saw some patterns and you saw a few things that are positive and some opportunities. Let me just dive into it. I'll do that.
Yeah.
So a team that goes down 31-7, whoa boy, in the second quarter, you're looking, okay, we got trouble a brewing here. That's when most of the stadium empties out, and you have to start considering we may need a backup here to come in, and it's really going to be our third string if that's what happens, because Travis was unavailable for this game. But to credit the Noles here, they didn't give up, and after giving up scores on the first 5 possessions on defense, the defense didn't allow any scores the rest of the game. So the last 9 possessions for Louisville were empty. Milton, once that point occurred, did start to improve, started to trust the receivers more, started to get a little more time with his offensive line, although he still took a number of sacks. You saw Corbin come out and go for, what are you going to end up for, 160, 170 on the night? Woo. Guy was just loose all the time. McLean and Parchment, you saw good flashes from both of those from the wide receiver core. And it really was kind of comforting to see the guys kind of go out there and figure some things out. Once it was 31-7 and you're going to drive down right before halftime and you score very quickly, okay, this changes the tone. Then you come out and you score right away again. It stays 31-20 for a while. I'm thinking, we have a chance to be competitive here, but the defense was the question mark. And they continue to hold on. We did get a little bit lucky. There was actually a touchdown run by Louisville in the third quarter that called back because of a holding penalty. And another one, I think that went for like 35 on a third down. They got called back for holding as well. So that was scary because even if any one of those are successful, we don't even stand a chance going into the fourth quarter. But, I mean, the positive, I guess, there is you figure some things out. You can't take a whole lot from your fourth consecutive loss to begin the year. Although Louisville is a little bit better than we thought. They seem to have figured something out, even though their star running back went out for the season with an ACL injury. They're still figuring out how to run the ball, and Florida State has some things to answer on the other side. But some of that really the positives that I took away from there. You do get a couple of guys back with injury. Robert Scott on the offensive line. He's still probably not 100%, but we still have him anyway. Toa Philly was wearing street clothes. I checked his status. I think he's injured too. So a little concerning. But, I mean, I guess that's the most positive I could take out of this game, unless you saw something I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I was going to talk about Corbin being a bright spot in Parchment. I haven't heard of his name much or at all until this game, but he seemed like he was maybe a potential go-to wide receiver. We're talking about how just not good that unit is, but he might be a bright spot to look at. I mean, if you want to take something to build on, they didn't quit. They could have easily. 31-7. I mean, come on, you could have easily quit, easily. And it would have been like, yeah, okay, that makes sense, But they didn't. And I mean, if you're Norvell and that coaching staff, you're just turning on the second half of the game. Like, this is who we are going to be from now on,
right?
And how dominant we are. I don't know if Louisville. You watched the game closer than I did. Did they get more conservative? Was it more? I mean, most of the credit should go to FSU and Will, but did Louisville kind of take the foot off the gas?
Honestly, I think they did, and it was more obvious that Wake Forest did this last week because it got so out of hand with our turnover problems. We played about as well as Tennessee did against Florida, honestly, in the Wake Forest game. So in this one, you kind of limit your mistakes. But yeah, going at 31-7, you have to start letting off the gas a little bit there. Yeah. You have to kind of put yourself in prevent mode. You're like, okay, there's no point in blowing them out. We've handled this team. We know they're not going to come back on us. They were right. We did give them a scare, but not enough of a scare that you're like, well, we have to start passing the ball all the time kind of deal. Or we have to bust out some trick plays. And so that's where it's really confusing for most people that just look at stats. They're like, oh, Wake Forest, Florida State outgained them. Yes, but. Or in this game, Florida State outgained Louisville. Yes, but.
Right.
The scoreboard, if you cover up the score, you're like, okay, well, it looks like on paper. Well, there was a lot more to it because Louisville didn't have to press themselves anymore. They didn't have to bring their A game after you go up by halftime. There just wasn't any need for it. You have other games on the schedule ahead of you. Clemson's didn't have both of our divisions. Both of us still got to play them. Why would you expend yourself? And at Louisville's position, they have absolutely nobody behind their quarterback. No one at all.
Oh, man. Okay.
So if he goes down, it's done. They may not make a bowl game. So it's a little bit of both.
Right.
But you have to take that into consideration, sure.
Yeah. It seemed like it was kind of a both. I felt like Louisville wasn't trying as hard or maybe just.
Yeah.
But credit to FSU. They seized the opportunity and almost pulled it out there.
Seize this opportunity as in like a pirate ship on the water? Seize?
See what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Unintentionally, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously I'll just move on to the opportunities because there's a plethora of them. The first 5 possessions on defense, you give up touchdown, field goal, TD. Yeah. And on the first drive of the game, you give up like a 70-yard ball. Oof. I have Brownlee, one of our corners, in my middle of the road. Like, he's half positive, half opportunity. Okay. He's very lukewarm. He's very hot or cold, and that play was very cold. And
I've seen him come up in run support real well,
and
or screen passes.
Yeah, in the front 7, he's fantastic. In pass coverage, he's terrible. Right. I mean, if everyone wants to pick on him, here you go. He was the one that missed the tackle against Jacksonville State to lose the game. Mm-hmm. But he's also the same guy who on third down when we needed a key stop on defense against Louisville comes up and sacks quarterback. So it's really hard to hate the guy all the time. But it just really depends on where he's out in the field. Maybe they need to scheme it up, but whatever. First 5 possessions, it just looked really so ugly. You thought it was over then and there. Our kicking continues to be a problem, but I kind of warned everybody about this to start the year. Right. We knew they're going to be about 50%. So missed an extra point, they missed a field goal. That's 4 points you don't have. But he made like a 47-yarder to get us with an 8. Probably too little too late in my opinion. Our third down defense, Chris, just continues to baffle me. I mean, we had another third down where we stopped them and we got a penalty to keep their drive going. Yep. So keep that streak going. That's not a good one. Oddly enough, our punt returns in this game were pretty bad. Helton has taken over the punt return responsibility the last couple of games. Except on this one, so backstory, on the The punt before, he gave up a 72-yard punt. He fielded a punt but got tackled immediately. It was kind of one of those weird scenarios where the sun was going down. It's like, here's the excuse, the sun isn't here right now. He was actually in like the weird spot where the shade and the sun were coming together. Okay. And I think it made him a little gun shy because on the next punt, he didn't even get close to it and just dribbled inside the 5. So killed our field position. O-line gave up, I think, 4 or 5 sacks. I've heard other entities and media always joke about this. They're like, every year, they're like, as soon as ESPN gets a hold of this game, some defensive lineman for the other team is going to look like they're NFL ready because our offensive line is so bad. And it was Abdullah this game. He had, I think, 3 tackles for loss. 2 of them sacks, even though he was injured and came back into the game. We're going to make some guy look like a superstar. It happens every year, Chris. It is just, it's kind of an inside joke. But anyway, and then missed tackles on defense. That's maybe something Ford needs to work on as well, I guess. But we just continue to have those kinds of things happen. We seem to go broke on a lot of plays. By that, I mean, like, let's tackle high or knock the ball out. But it just allows for extra yardage, especially on third down.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of them. I mean, key mistakes, that late hit I think it was a late hit on third down. I think it's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Might not have been third down, but he hit the quarterback when he was going out of bounds and just didn't need to. I forgot the player's name. But, I mean, the quarterback's a foot away from the sideline, and he not only hits him up high by his helmet. I'm just like, you just don't need to do that. Like, okay, maybe on the slight chance that he's faking you out, you're right there. Like, he's going to run into you. Like, so don't touch him, especially if you're going to shove him, don't shove him by the head with all the rules they have about face mask and protecting quarterback and targeting. It's just silly stuff like that. I think I forget, you can remind me what drive it was, but it was, I believe, the second half, and they were rolling. And it's fourth down, and they draw a great pass. I think it was the running back, and he dropped it wide open. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you just can't do that on those key downs, and they just don't have, I don't know what it is, coaching or whatever to get over that. I mean, you talk about bad luck. Louisville, I know this is early in the game, but they kick a long field goal, and it hits the goalpost and then goes in. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're just not having good bounces.
I almost forgot about that because Louisville actually, we caused them to fumble twice, and neither one of them did we recover.
True, yeah.
So that was another thing that just kind of bad luck against you. So very good point. Mm-hmm. I almost forgot about that. Well, maybe I blocked it out. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Sorry, I brought that back up.
That's all right.
Obviously, Milton's late pick. I think he kind of forced it. And then a stat that sticks out to me. Think third and fourth down again. 5 for 20. Mm-hmm. It's just not good. So a lot of things to clean up, but I would still focus on the defense in the second half. That's what I would focus on.
Sure.
You're fighting the second half.
Yeah, and when McKenzie got in a roll, the offense was rolling too.
Yeah, and there's a lot. I mean, we'll get to it in a minute here, but the ACC, I think it's safe to say it's a down year, and there's a lot of games that are a little bit more winnable. I don't know if you're going to, but your chances of winning are higher now. Let's just say that.
It looks very different than a month ago. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
But every game that you have a chance to win and should win, you have to win at this point for the Noles. And this was one close to that have to win category, and we don't get it done.
Right.
The late pick with Milton, honestly, they were picking on that defender Clark that entire drive. And okay. I just wasn't getting my hopes that I saw it coming. I was like, he's going to make a play here. I don't know if he's going to pick it off, but he's gonna maybe get his hands on one. It's going to scare him enough, scare Milton enough, that he may throw to the other side. And I saw it coming. I did. Because Parchment he's had flashes. Most of it was in this game, but he was a transfer from Kansas, by the way, and he was one of those like grad transfers. Like, okay, let's just hope and cross our fingers. And to this point, really nothing. Kind of McLean, our freshman, has been the guy. Maybe Ontario Wilson a little bit here and there, but when it mattered, he didn't.
Right.
It's kind of hard to say if that pick was on the receiver or Milton because it kind of looked like he was supposed to keep running, and they'd had a miscommunication on almost the exact same play like 2 drives earlier.
Right.
But it happened to be on 4th down on the previous drive, and this time it was staying in the game.
Right.
So just some things to clean up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. So, real quick note, then I'll move on. I expect Florida State to keep going for 4th downs like this. Someone almost literally got up in my face a couple weeks ago, Chris. Got up in my grill about Florida State should not be going for 4th down at your own 23. You have to consider what we have. And Norvell has not been shy about this, and he has taken those kinds of risks for years before Florida State. Yeah. You will continue to see this happen. It didn't pay off against Notre Dame. We still won in overtime. It wasn't a good call, play call-wise, against Louisville on that last drive. But we ended up getting a penalty in our favor. The drive kept going. So, 6 of one, half dozen of another. When you're only going to get 13 to 15 possessions a game, you can't punt it away 5 or 6 times. That's just not the way it's going to work. Not with this offense. Not with your kickers. It's not going to be beneficial. You're going to have to take some chances. Right. We actually have a lot of explosive plays. The fact that we can run 75, 80 yards at a time or get a long pass with Travis, that's one of our best weapons so far, and we have to play to that strength.
Yeah, and I think you got to continue to hit that run game. Start off running, wear them down, because I think that's still your strength.
Yeah,
as good as Melton can be, I would still continue just Corbin, Ward.
Ward is really coming on the last 2 games, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Take the game film from the first half and say, you know what Louisville did? That's what we need to do every game. Get up early and often. And you set the tone the rest of the game.
Yeah. I mean, because if FSU, I think if they had, say, a 10-point lead, 2-touchdown lead, I think they can run the clock out. They can.
Oh, yeah.
But they're just not in that position enough.
True. Very true. So, all right. Well, that'll wrap that up. Unless you have any final thoughts.
No, that's it.
It'll do it. Okay. Very cool. The Knights were off this week. Miami played a game, I guess.
Yeah.
They beat Central Connecticut 69-0. Everyone gets playing time. Everyone good. De'Aaron King doesn't play here. That's the only thing. Just rest him up. I don't see the need to play. Yeah.
I mean, Van Dyke and Garcia, they had pretty good games. But, I mean, again, like we mentioned before, we really didn't know Central Connecticut existed.
Right.
We'll probably never talk about them again. So, 69-0.
Yep.
Good for them.
There was your spotlight.
Yeah.
South Florida on the road at BYU.
Gave them a ball game.
Yeah. Didn't look very good early, but sure enough, the Bulls do come back and make it close, but in the end they do fall to the Cougars.
Yeah, I mean, going down, a theme of Florida teams going down early in the game. First quarter down 21-0, just like we thought it was going to be. But South Florida does this every now and then. A team that you think is just going to blow them out, they'll either pull an upset or fight them to the end. So, but not enough. Still not enough to beat BYU.
Indeed. Yep. What else we got here? Florida Atlantic falls to Air Force. And this one was not close, actually.
No. I thought it was going to be a closer game. I think I even picked FAU. I'm not too shocked they lost, but the score really shocks me. Just the way the FAU was kind of playing this year.
Yeah.
Air Force came out of nowhere and just thumped them.
QB play really let them down this game, and they could not recover from it.
Yeah. It was,
pretty bad.
How many passing yards do they have?
Ugh.
78?
Was it
that
that low?
78 yards passing the whole game. You weren't joking, QB.
Yeah. It was rough.
And
I mean, I don't know much about Air Force. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
Service
Same.
Academy, they kind of lie in the weeds, but that's
they dropped 446 yards rushing on them, though. Goodness.
Yeah.
It's probably they didn't have enough possessions to throw the ball.
Well, you're running the whole game and you don't score, then you just that's gotta be frustrating. Fun. I mean, especially get that many yards, but
right.
Yep, Owls not successful. But another close game. Central Michigan beats FIU, but it takes overtime. So the Chippewas are successful, but the Panthers held their own, and I really thought the Panthers had a chance to win for a while. Kind of surprised they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, Central Michigan scored 21 unanswered in the fourth to win the game. They scored it with like a minute left to win. But yeah, FIU was controlling this whole game, and then Central Michigan comes out of nowhere, fourth quarter comeback, and huge letdown for FIU because it's a game that I don't know if you expected to win, but you were winning, and it was in the bag, and then you let him out.
Jeez, yep. Yeah. Again, with the chance to get, if you're only going to win 3 to 5 a season, you got to hang on to win this one. They did not get it.
Definitely, yeah,
didn't happen.
Definitely.
All right, I think that takes care of this week. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and look forward, Chris. I know one of your favorite opponents. Who wants to bring up? It's. I mean, I'm going to give Florida some credit here because they've earned it. Florida beating Kentucky was the longest streak in SEC history.
Yeah,
you should be very proud of that.
I am,
and that's a lot to be said. And just recently, did that not be the case? But still, to say that they've only beaten us once in my lifetime, that's right. Saying a whole lot.
Yeah. It's a game that if you're a Florida fan, you see Kentucky on there, you're like, it's a win, but I know that I'm going to have heart palpitations the whole game. Almost every game we play Kentucky, they give us their best. We always come out slow against Kentucky, especially Kentucky on the road. I would not be surprised if we're down by like 10 points, maybe even like 13, 14 points to begin the game. But I think it's going to play out a lot like Tennessee. I think it's going to play out where we are coming out struggling. They're undefeated. The last couple of weeks they have struggled against lesser opponents. They have pretty decent defense. They're led by Rodriguez. Their running back's pretty good, and their quarterback is it Slovis, I think. I believe he transferred from Penn State, if I'm correct. Levis, yeah, sorry. Transfer, I believe, from Penn State. He started off the season hot, but kind of slowed down a bit here. But I expect Kentucky to their fans, their team to get hyped up. We're probably going to come out slow, make some mistakes here and there. But I think the line is 8. I would say maybe closer than you'd think it would be. I'm going to go Gators by 10 in this game. I'm worried about our secondary. Elam should be back. I'm pretty sure we're going to get beat deep again a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised if we're down early again. I like Mullen. I like where he's got this team going as far as, okay, if you get down, it's not over. I don't know if they can handle the run game for the whole game. They might stop us here and there. I'm not sure if by the end if we're not going to be wearing them down. I'm pretty sure we will. So I like Florida by 10. I think it's going to be very similar to Tennessee, very similar to how we always play Kentucky on the road, just annoying for a long time. You get a victory. I'm going to go Florida 31-21. I think Kentucky's going to put some deep balls on us, maybe get some play action because of Rodriguez. We'll adjust. I don't know if they can stop us enough times. Mm-hmm. If we don't turn the ball over, I think we definitely win. If we do turn the ball over, we're going to be biting some nails at the end of the game.
Okay.
But I think we win by 10.
I think you pointed to the keys to victory for Kentucky really well. Rodriguez can really hurt you. He is really a decent running back. One of the best in the conference, really.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Kentucky's undefeated, but consider they have played Louisiana Monroe, which you win by 35. You beat Kentucky by you beat Missouri, by a touchdown. You beat Chattanooga by 5. Whoops. And you beat South Carolina by 6. I mean,
yeah.
So that's your strength of schedule if you're Kentucky so far.
Yeah, and that Missouri game, at the time, it looked like a quality win, but not so much now. South Carolina's still trying to rebuild. So I think this number's a little bit skewed, but they're still a talented team. They're still really good. Mm-hmm. Got some key players on offense, and Stoops has got them always on defense.
Yeah. I don't know the atmosphere at Kentucky, what that's like. I mean, but not being in the swamp probably affects the game a little bit. not enough that I'm going to sway, and I'm still going to take the Gators here because the balance is what keeps me going. And I don't know much of Kentucky's defense, but if they're giving up those kinds of performances to other teams, then I think Florida's going to probably have their way with them. But Kentucky has some things they can do to keep it close.
Yeah.
Let's see. You said 31 points. Give me 34 for the Gators, giving up 23. How about that?
Okay.
So covering the spread.
Yeah. I think it'll be in that range. I could see where it ends up being, say, like 38-14 again. I could easily see that, but I just think that it's our first true road game. Okay, yes, we went to USF, but really that was it's a neutral site game.
And it's in the state. But
yeah.
We know.
Yeah, so this is our first true road game of the season. I expect us to come out slow. I mean, our secondary is still kind of iffy. I do like our front seven. I'm really liking them. Not great, but real efficient and much improved. If Elam's back, and if I think Richardson, they've said a couple of weeks that he's 100%, but not in the game, just as a precautionary. I think they're just saving him, really. So if he gets in the game, I think we could really dominate them. But I have a feeling that they're not going to play him again. I think they're just really saving him for LSU. But I don't know if we're going to need him. I just don't know how to feel about this game. I feel like it's going to be the same old. We're going to duke it out for a little bit, but we finally deliver a blow late, which I wish it wasn't that. I really wish we could just play Kentucky and we beat them 65-0. I missed the '96 Kentucky game. I really do. But
here's the hoping that happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Both got the Gators winning there. Florida State is back at home. They are hosting the Syracuse Orange. Yeah. And speaking of bad schedule, Syracuse this year has played Ohio, which they beat 29-9. They played and beat Rutgers. They lost to Rutgers. 17-7. Very low scoring game. Syracuse beats Albany 62-24. Sure, whatever. This is the one I'm interested in, though. They beat Liberty last week, 24-21. And I didn't give them a chance in that game at all.
Right,
I really didn't. So that's the one I look at and like, oh, that happened to me last week. Maybe they found something. And the reason that scares me, Chris, is because looking at Florida State's schedule very honestly, there's really only 2 games the rest of the year we're going to be favored, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
This one actually favored by 4.5 points. And I don't know that the Louisville line, by the time that kicked off last week, we might have been favored by a point. It moved quite a bit that week. Not sure what the odds makers were thinking, but, minus a player or two, they were actually pretty close on that, I guess. Mm-hmm. Syracuse has been pretty much a dumpster fire since Dino's first season. And that was the year that Syracuse actually beat Clemson in the regular season and then won 9 games, and he's ACC Coach of the Year, I think. And they've just progressively gotten worse. DeVito at quarterback has not been the answer. In fact, they've really had to move on. And they've used Schrader a lot, too. Their leading receiver this year only has 175 yards. That's Tucker, who's also their leading rusher. So, if I look at this as the Noles defense, I'm saying I just limit that guy. And you've pretty much got this one in the bag because you're talented. This may be the only game where the offensive line doesn't look terrible because the talent for Syracuse just won't put a lot of pressure. Now, I'm saying they won't look terrible, but I mean that the entire game. We're still going to probably give up 2 sacks somewhere. There's still going to probably be some tackles for loss, but just not as many as we're used to seeing.
All right.
And I really think Florida State can and should compete in this game. I really don't see any reason why they can't win. That's why I'm taking us to win. I know I picked us against Wake Forest. I know I picked us against Jacksonville State, so I've been wrong twice already this year. I get it. But I also think I wasn't crazy to make those picks. So,
well, yeah. Given Jacksonville State, no one saw that one coming.
Right. Given this is at home, given the fact that we actually have a talent edge against someone this year, and we've constantly seen improvement on the team motivation, and a couple areas here and there. I'm going to take the Noles to win by a point.
A point, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I think the games remaining, you got better chances, but realistically, Syracuse and UMass are the two that you probably will win, and you should win. And like you said, they're going to be favored in. Yeah, I'm not sold on. Okay, so they beat Liberty last week. I don't think Liberty's the same Liberty. They're not fooling anybody this year. I think Florida State's really going to rally against that second half last week. I think Florida State gets their first win of the season here. I'm just not sold, like you said, on Syracuse. I mean, if Florida State loses to Syracuse, then, I mean, maybe that's rock bottom. But I think there's a little bit better, especially because you see fight in Florida State every now and then. But I knew Louisville had potential to beat Florida State. I just don't think Syracuse can put together enough. Like I said, the quarterback issues. So yeah, I'm going to go Florida State on this one because of the run game. Mm-hmm. Florida State, I say 28-24.
I was going to say 21-20.
21.
I think that this is probably a game where the teams get a little bit overconfident in themselves because they both really, we're competitive. And like Syracuse coming off of a decent win for them is going to be more confident than they would have. I would much rather see them coming off of this game a win, which is what happened, than a loss. You never want to play a team off of a loss. They just seem more hungry. Which is why Syracuse is in trouble. We've lost 4 in a row. We're hungry for a win.
You're the most dangerous team in the nation.
Exactly. Going in this week, we're 0-0, since last Sunday. So, I don't know. That's a quote I took from Angels in the End Zone.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever saw that movie. It was a long time ago.
I was little.
It was terrible, but they were like, they didn't win a game for like 4 years. And they started a new season. The coach goes, you know what? Our record is 0-0, which means we're undefeated. I was like, oh, okay. Let's not go there, but no, I really think that we still got some things to work on, obviously, but it's not going to be too much if we get it in our own way, and I think we get it done.
Yeah, the key thing for Florida State is you've got to start. They have to win the first quarter. If they're up by a touchdown or 10 points or something like that, I think they'll be set. But if after the first quarter and they're tied or behind, buckle in.
Yeah.
Because it can be a long game. You'll know after the first quarter how that game's going to look, I think. But I think Florida State's going to handle them.
I do. What really continues to hurt us, then I'll move on, I promise, is the kicking game is way in favor of Syracuse. Their kicker won the Lou Groza Award. Ooh, there we go, a couple years ago. He's still there. That's something that Florida State, we just can't rely on. So they're going to get in the red zone. They're actually going to score, and then we're going to have to chance a fourth down play. And we haven't. Yeah. What'd you say? We were 5 of 20 last week. That's
third and fourth down. Yeah,
that's not even far off of the season average for us a month in. 25% there is not going to get it done.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. All right. So, well, Chris, we're recording this late Tuesday. Should have it for the fans Wednesday. Thursday, we've already got a game, and that's Virginia traveling to Miami.
Yeah, I don't know what the word is on King's return, but the Canes are favored by 5 on a Virginia team. I haven't figured them out. They lost the last 2 conference games. I gotta say, pretty bad. So maybe they're a bad team. I think it helped Miami though. If King is going to go out and you're going to try to figure out who your quarterback is, playing Central Connecticut last week really helps having that spring game before Virginia. So I really think that's going to give them some confidence. The Canes are going to bounce back, mainly because and I think Virginia's just not that good of a football team.
Right.
So I'm going to pick the Canes. Maybe close, maybe 7 points, but yeah, I say Miami Thursday night wins.
I agree with you that Miami's a better team. I'm taking Virginia in the upset.
Okay.
And I think Virginia's close, but we've got the ACC Wheel of Destiny competing against us. So how can we ever know? I was really proud of Virginia playing North Carolina close 2 weeks ago, but they also gave up like 60, but they scored like 45 or something. So I was like, oh, maybe they figured
59-39.
Okay, she's higher than I. Okay, 39. There we go. Thank you. I knew I was kind of close on that, but I was like, oh, maybe they found something on offense, and then they play on Friday night, and I was like, where did that come from? They scored nothing, and they looked inept, and they couldn't move the ball. Yeah. So I was like, oh man, I really thought they were going to come back and right the ship, and there's our ship again, and it wasn't there. But I still am not sold on Miami, and they struggle against App State, real bad. The Central Connecticut game, I can just throw that out with the dishwater because that doesn't tell me anything about this team. It just doesn't. So give me Virginia in the upset. I think they got some things that they've started to figure out. Bronco Mendenhall's not going to lose a third in a row. I just don't see it happening. So
that's a good point. Make some good points. Miami doesn't seem to play well against quality teams. I don't know if Virginia is a quality team, although the teams they lost to, UNC and Wake, a little bit better than we thought.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're great, but
you were joking with me. You're like, is Wake Forest the best team in the ACC? I'm like, right now?
Right,
probably.
I think they're my personal dark horse to win the ACC.
Oh gosh, not again.
Why not? Because why not?
At this
point, I jumping on Wake's officially jumping on the Wake bandwagon. I am pulling for Wake because why not?
They won the ACC. Remember, everyone hates them for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
2006. Anyway,
I mean, everyone's gonna pull you take your Clemsons and your USC's and whatever. Watch out for Wake. You just mark my words and mark them well.
Well, and we promised we'd get to this now, so let's just do it at this point. The ACC looks very different than it did to start the year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull up. I gotta find Boston College's schedule because this is a team Florida State is playing the week before the Gators, I believe. I got to confirm that real quick. The teams that Boston College has played this year, Temple. Hang on. There's more to it than that. They opened the season against Colgate. They beat UMass. Florida State gets them later this year. UMass, by the way, is like the worst team in Division One.
Okay.
Boston College beat Temple, and they beat Missouri in overtime. I mean, who's the best team they played there?
Missouri.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
And it took OT to get that done. Temple, UMass, Colgate? This is awful. So you don't even know who Boston College is.
Right.
You've got Vautech has already lost a non-conference game to West Virginia, but they beat North Carolina, so what do you know about them? Hard to say.
Go figure.
Miami got killed by Miami, squeaks out against App State, and they beat Central Connecticut. So, don't know about them yet. North Carolina's already lost to Virginia Tech, and they lost to Georgia Tech on Saturday. Okay, that's real bad. In the Atlantic, you already have Clemson with a conference loss against NC State, who Florida State has to get probably in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And they're actually a pretty decent team this year, probably upper third of the conference anyway. So this win doesn't totally shock me. What does shock me is the fact that Clemson only scored 14 points in regulation here, only 3 points against Georgia in regulation.
And they got some key injuries too.
They may have some actual troubles there.
Mm-hmm.
So some of those games that you think, well, maybe Florida State was not going to have a chance at, they might actually have a decent shot. And Boston College is kind of one of those. NC State, I'm not so hopeful on anymore, but that's a month out at least. And you're going to beat UMass. I mean, if I could tell you how bad UMass is, I just, Chris, you have no idea.
They're not good.
You have no idea how bad UMass is. They have, I got to pull it up here. They lost to Pittsburgh 51-7. They lost to Boston College 45-28. They lost to Eastern Michigan 42-28. They lost to Coastal Carolina 53-3.
They're not good.
It's awful. If they play UConn, that is going to be like the toilet dirt bowl. UConn hasn't won a game either. I think UConn lost to Holy Cross. This is like a Division II matchup. These two guys going at it. Whoever wins that game I'm not even joking. Predict it now. That will be the only game won between those two programs the entire season.
Yikes.
So thank goodness we get them this year because we're going to need it.
Because you're going to need that, that dub. Yeah, I think UNC, had you not beat them last year in that game, I give you a chance. On the road, I don't know. Maybe a revenge game. I don't think so. UMass, Clemson, if it's at FSU, I really think that you could shock them. I don't know about at Clemson.
It's on the road. But
they're a little bit down. NC State, they're ranked, they're better, but it's the ACC. You get them at home. Miami's at home. That's a rivalry game. I think that's a winnable game. I honestly do.
Yeah, that's the other one I point to. I'm like, whoa, they're not as good as we thought, and so I'm actually picking to lose to Virginia. I could shock them,
Yeah.
So,
like you said, BC on the road and Florida. I don't think so, but no. BC and BC Miami maybe. I think that you have a decent shot at those games. Syracuse and UMass. So 4 wins, I think, is something that you.
It's back on the table. You're still only going to be favored in 2. I still, or like if you had to tell me right now, and Brandon, tell me how many, they're going to win 3. I think there's somewhere in there they pull some kind of upset and get better. But 2, I mean, that's really all you can really bank on.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. That's the ACC corner.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say I didn't win. Just did not think entering August this is what we'd be talking about. It's crazy.
Yeah. Going on my new favorite team for this year, Wake. Their last 4 games is kind of pretty brutal. At UNC, hosting NC State, at Clemson, and then at BC. But I mean, just when you think something's crazy in the ACC, it becomes normal. So I think it's crazy. So therefore, it's going to be normal. Yep.
All right.
So moving along.
Yep. Shifting away from the ACC. The UCF Knights they're back from a bye week, traveling to Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Navy's had some struggles. Yeah, Navy's had some struggles this year, and they're still running that triple option, which gives teams a lot of trouble. But they haven't done it very well. So not only is it boring, it's also low scoring. Not to tell you, it looks fun when it's actually working, right? All the athletes are in sync. It's kind of pretty. But right now, it's not that. Gus Malzahn 10-2 off of a bye week, so he is breaking a new quarterback because Gabriel's still out indefinitely. We're thinking probably the rest of the season. So we're breaking in King, who is a true freshman, 18-year-old.
Good.
Expect some mistakes. That's what always happens, right?
Is Bowser back? Do you know?
Unknown.
Okay.
He's got a couple of things he's dealing with, and so we don't know if he's available yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. Honestly, if this game was not... If you'd put this game a week ago, right after you lose Gabriel and you lose to Louisville on the road, I would take Navy in the upset. But since UCF had some time off to figure some things out, and Navy is still struggling this year, I'm going to take the Knights in a low-scoring affair. By low, I mean 30, because that's what they always score. They give me 30-21 UCF.
Yeah. I think you make a really good point having the bye week. Very fortunate that you have that, so you can get an extra week for that new guy to come in and new running back potentially as well. Yeah, I say the Knights win. Maybe I say a little more comfortable, like 13, 10 points.
Okay.
Struggle a little bit, but outlast them. So
I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if Navy wins this game. Just it feels kind of upsetty.
Right.
But I'll still take UCF.
Yeah, because there's so many questions. Yeah. Who is Navy, and now who is UCF? Because you have to re-ask that. So.
Sure. All right.
Okay. See, South Florida travels to SMU, although South Florida put up a fight last week. SMU is undefeated, beating TCU.
Yeah, big win for them.
So I think I'm going to say Mustangs win.
Yeah,
at home.
Same. I think they get it done in the Dallas area. SMU's been kind of sneaky reliable in the American. 7-8 wins every season, kind of contending for a division until early November at least before they fall off. So, yeah, I think it continues. Mustangs win.
Okay. And then we have the FIU plays against FAU. Is there a name for this game?
No, and they don't need to make one. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. I want one, but
well,
if you know what? If you combined an owl and a panther, kind of looks like a griffin. Kinda. Can we say the Griffin Bowl?
The Griffin Bowl.
I'm gonna say I'm writing it down.
The battle for the bronze griffin or something. Yes, you make a trophy out of it.
Yes.
Are we contacting our attorney to copyright this tomorrow? Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Bronze Griffin Bowl. I'm writing it down now. Putting us into the patent office. I don't know how that works, but I'll call the governor. I think that's what they do, right?
Invent help. That's one of the commercials you get inundated with at ESPNU. Invent help.
So yeah, I'm gonna get FAU on this. I mean, although they had a poor showing last week, I think they're a better team. So FAU.
Yeah, better position here. The quarterback play can't be any worse, and so they're going to turn that around. But FIU just doesn't have the matchup in really any area that they'd be favored in. So yeah, give me the Owls.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Well, there we go. Man, what a I say this every week, but what a fun, crazy week it has been, and it will be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, this has been a pleasure as always, Chris. How can the fans reach out to us to give us their thoughts and opinions on this week's matchups?
You just got to get on your Google machine and go to FloridaFocusPodcast.com and hit us up.
Indeed.
Find old podcasts, contact us, let us know what you're thinking. FloridaFocusPodcast.com.
And thank you to the patrons that we have that have supported us financially and kept the show going. To Jared and Tyler, thank you as always. Thank you for all your input on game days. And if you'd like to become a patron, that would be patreon.com/FloridaFocusPodcast. The link, as always, is in the show notes.
Okay.
All right. That does it for me, Chris. What are your final thoughts before we sign off?
I mean, we're first month down, and it's flying by quick. A lot of football has been played, still a lot more to play. I love it. We are in the thick of it. So,
my goal at this point, just have more wins this year than UF has losses. I'll just
okay.
Just set it there.
Just okay.
Yeah, that's the expectation now. But
that's a good one. That's a really good, interesting thought.
Yeah, that's where
plays
we're
out.
at. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, to the fans and community, thank you as always, Chris. Thank you, and this is Brandon saying, "Go Noles."
This is Chris. Go Gators.